Hi YouTube! Welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Meghan, aka Subirasri, and I am subbing for Cara this week. And this week we are talking about entities within your home. Today's topic is pretty in-depth for Pagan Perspective. I actually really like it a lot, and I think that it's a great topic, though it is really specific. I'm not sure if it's going to apply to everyone, but it might be useful information for anyone to know. I'm not going to read the entire question because it's really long and it gives a lot of specific details. I will, though, post it in the down bar below so you can read it. But the general gist of this is that basically this person, this subscriber, there's an entity in their house, and this entity is not exactly the nicest entity from what I can understand. The person says that there's other entities as well, but that most are harmless. So I'm hoping that by most he means all, and he doesn't have some, or she doesn't have some other entities that are causing problems too, because in that case, I mean, really, cut your losses and move. By that point, just going to be a lot of work. But it seems like there's a lot of people in the house, so I'm wondering if this is some sort of situation with a large house where people rent out rooms, which can always be sort of a sticky situation when it comes to entities living in older homes particularly. I'm in New England, and we have a lot of this problem, mainly because all these homes are so old and so much has happened in them that all that energy really gets stuck. The other thing that this person is talking about is that they did a banishing potion and they sprinkled it around the house. And I guess some of the other people in the house believe that this pissed off the entity and that it possessed this person and that it has possessed other people. Now, I'm a little confused because the person didn't say anything about whether or not they thought they were possessed at the time or if they had any recollection about being possessed. So I'm kind of going off of limited information here. So I'll tell you what my assumptions are and that I'm giving what I consider the best advice I can give on this subject with certain assumptions, and know that it might change if there were different assumptions made or more parts of the story were told. So basically, in general, when we're talking about negative entities within the house, you're already talking about a house that has been unprotected. So a house that A, you haven't lived in your whole life, or you haven't lived in the life of the home. So anytime you move into an older home, or any home for that matter, that you didn't begin, you didn't build it from the ground up, you weren't able to consecrate the ground, you weren't able to release any negative energy stored in the ground before it was built, and you weren't able to put any protections on it before it even went up. Anytime that happens, which, let's be frank, is a lot of us, we have to move into homes that we didn't build from the ground up. Anytime that happens, there are certain things that you have to do in order to keep sort of the energy at bay. Most of the time, you don't have to do anything. Having particularly negative energies and negative spirits in a house is not as common as you would think. There can be a lot of negative energy, even negative spirits that might linger, might stick around, but their ability to interact with you and to make any impact on our realm, the material realm, is actually a pretty rare event. So something to consider in this case is if you have multiple entities in your home, and it also sounds like from your description, you have a little case of people playing with fire. Not literally, but, you know, some people are kind of poking at this thing with a stick, so to speak. And that's generally not the best idea in the world. I believe in kind of letting things lie, doing everything you can with your protections and things like that, and leaving things be. You know, you don't want to poke the hornet's nest because you might get stung. Sort of, you know, cause and effect. But in the case that we have now, we've poked. The bees are out and stuff's happening. Now, you're talking about possession, first and foremost. Now, I'm going to assume, because you didn't mention that you yourself thought you were possessed, I'm going to assume that A, you don't think you are possessed, or B, that you have no knowledge or no memory of being possessed. So that's the assumption I'm going off of. If you do think you were possessed, that's a whole other story, but we're going to go on those assumptions right now. So basically, your friends are telling you you're possessed, and you have no memory of this, and you're basically not really sure if you were or not. One of the things that's important is, why do your friends think you're possessed? What kind of things were you doing during this time period in which they said you were possessed? Was there a goal? Was there a motive? We want to know this because we need to know what it is that this spirit is after. What's their goal? What's their sole reason for being? In order to be trapped and to have your energy trapped within a home like this, you really do need to have a reason for being there. Oftentimes, it's just an essence of the person that's left behind, an essence of their spirit. So it is not their true soul that's trapped there, but the feeling and the energy that happened, whatever happened to them, the energy that was evoked during that time that was traumatic enough for them to get lodged there, that left a psychic imprint. And that imprint can manifest itself over generations and can grow depending on what's feeding it. Now, one of the things that you mentioned in your description and your question is that there is some potential blood magic and there was some accidental spilling of blood. So, a couple of things with that. First, the person that you say summoned this spirit and used blood, that is very different than having an entity attached to a house. What you're talking about was someone summoning a particular demon, a particular spirit, entity, what have you, and then linking it to the home is really pretty intense. And I'm curious as to whether or not this friend of yours is skilled enough to even take on something like that. To link a demon or a spirit, any entity, to a home in which you are not there anymore, you're not able to upkeep your bargain, that would take skill to the point that I'd be hard-pressed to believe that that would happen. Basically because the energy involved in keeping a linkage of that kind is tremendous. So when you're summoning a spirit to a place, or a demon or entity, whatever you might call it, whatever it happens to be, even an elemental, you are then calling it to you. You make a deal with it for certain terms. They're very specific. It's not usually something that's ongoing. There's usually a clause that defines the terms of the deal and the out. So there is a way to break the deal, for one. There's always a way to break the deal. There's always an out clause. And there's always a way to finish the deal. There isn't this ongoing relationship where something is just permanently there in a realm that's not their own. So first, I would really push on this other person that you said isn't telling you much and find out what the deal was for. And I guess he wrote something that there's nothing you can do about it. He has made some kind of blood deal that I think is allowing these things to stay in the house. It's acting as some sort of spy for him. So I'm a little concerned there that there's probably some drama. To me, that spells drama in the house. If you think that this person needs an otherworldly entity to spy for him, it sounds like there's some serious issues going on in that home, and I highly suggest seeking therapeutic counsel. There. Now I've done my due diligence on that. It definitely sounds like there's some drama there, and that needs to be all worked out before you can get into any of the spiritual realm. You're not going to be able to solve anything with an entity, particularly one that has any malevolent purpose whatsoever. You're not going to get anywhere if you haven't solved the mundane drama first. So figure out what that is. And it is unlikely that this entity would just have an ongoing deal to spy. There are, well, this is, again, disclaimer for whole video. This is just my opinion. This is just how I feel and what my religion believes. This is my tradition, my family, and how we view the other realms. And to my knowledge, there are absolutely no demons, entities, or spirits that would do a simple, ongoing blood deal to spy on a simple, mundane, material realm drama. So there would have to be something else going on. It wouldn't be as simple as just a blood deal. To do something that mundane, particularly if he summoned a demon, he would have had, or she would have had to give a lot more than just blood, and the demon wouldn't even consider it. It would be considered beneath the demon unless your friend had something on the demon, which would be very, very rare. And I don't even remember, for history, I don't even remember a time in which that's happened. So keep in mind that this is intense stuff, guys. You're dealing with some major forces here, and I think you did the right thing. You did a banishing potion. It sounds like if you pissed it off, you probably just need to make a stronger one. I would start with a cleansing for your own room. Keep it in your room. Keep away from all the other space. The friend or the new roommate who accidentally pricked their finger or something and bled, wouldn't worry about that. It wasn't done in ritual purposes. It's not like it's some sort of entity that's in the walls that's feeding on the blood. That's the stuff of movies. It's not going to happen. The only time you're going to be able to make blood pacts and blood deals like that are going to be within a ritual circle. It's a very different situation. So don't worry at all about the accidental bloodletting or whatever happened, and clean it with some alcohol or bleach or something, because yuck. But the biggest thing is solve the drama. Solve the drama. Find out why this person was doing any of this sort of ritual to begin with and what their purpose was. Find out whatever deal might have been made. And I really suggest that you guys work through some of whatever's going on for you and solve that. Because I think once you do that, then you'll be able to really cleanse your space, start fresh, start new, and really love your home. And if you can't clear the drama, kind of sounds like a pretty toxic environment. And I don't know what your situation is, if you're able to move, but that would be my best bet. If you can't clear the mundane drama, you're not going to be able to clear all of the magical drama. They go hand in hand. So that's just a little bit of how I see the problem from my tradition and what I would do to solve it. The other thing that you can also do to help the matter is to focus on the positive guardians that you have and try and call on their assistance to keep you protected. There's not much that you can do for everybody else, but you can encourage them to do what you're doing. It sounds like it's a magical household. There's a lot of people who practice. Encourage them all to seek out their own guardian, as well as do some ritual to bring about your guardian house spirits. Oftentimes they're called the Lhasa or the Lare. That's in Strega, as well as various other names for house spirits. But call upon them to really start to pay attention to this home and clean a little house. So, kind of a recap, clean up the mundane drama first. Work that out. Get a nice clean house, then work out the magical drama, and then get a nice clean house. Sage the crap out of the place. And if none of that works, if you really can't stop any of the drama and things are just not happening for you, move. That's the biggest. But I'd really call on your own spirits and put some more protections on yourself to make sure that nothing that is in the house can possess you. Remember, they cannot possess you if you block yourself off from them. So raise your spirits, raise your guides, make sure you're protected, and then you won't have to worry about that anymore. And I think that's about it. Not sure how much I can give in a shorter video. It's a really long and complicated topic. And like I said, I had to make certain assumptions because of the information holes. So I really hope that this helped even a tiny bit or gave other people information if they're dealing with things. But I always recommend dealing with the mundane first before we deal with the magical. Big recommendation. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. And any questions in the comments below, I'll try to answer them the best I can. Until then, blessed be.